Good morning, good day, good evening. Welcome once again to East Bay Insiders TV. I'm Steve Tavares. Oakland Mayor Barbara Lee's first 2 months in office have been relatively uneventful. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? With me today is our comms guru, Justin Burton of Burton Media. Welcome, Justin. Your
Thank you,
thoughts
Steve.
on the first 60 days? We're rounding up 60 days of the Barbara Lee administration.
Yeah, well, sometimes in Oakland, no news is good news for a mayor. But I will spare you the entire SWOT analysis, but definitely lay out some pros that I think Oaklanders have some reason to feel good about and some challenges ahead. I think right off the bat, Barbara Lee established that her office is going to be run like a pro. Professionalism is back in the mayor's office. So she made some incredible hires. Mia, her chief of staff, who worked for then council member Bass, now supervisor Bass, and some other people from Bloomberg initiatives that came in. It looks like she's firming up a team that is going to do serious work. And that's really important to Oakland because so many of our community-based organizations, developers, small businesses, at some point run through the mayor's office and come back out, whether they're seeking, permits, advice, counsel, convening. They need pros in that office, and she looks like she's establishing or reestablishing that from her predecessor. So that's really good news for Oakland. I was just at a Chamber of Commerce event recently where when she showed up, there was a little buzz in the air. People wanted to line up and take a selfie with her. When she spoke, people were feeling uplifted. And then when people spoke after her, whether it was a developer or the owner of the Roots or owner of a small business or CJ Johnson from the Black Cultural Zone, they all made a point of saying how good it felt to have a mayor in office that was going to work with us, that was going to reestablish Oakland's credibility, and that better days were ahead. So on the vibe front, people are feeling it, and that's good for Oakland because our self-perception creates economic activity, creates an external representation, and that's something that we haven't seen in the mayor's office for a bit. So kudos to her. She's done job one, which is to build a professional foundation to go from.
Now that all sounds good. Now, where's the hammer? I know there's a
the
hammer.
But, the however, the and statement. Well, let's look at, so one thing about being a new mayor is every new mayor gets a honeymoon period. There's a grace period, right, and people are waiting to see what you're going to do. And every new mayor gets to choose how they're going to get out of that batter's box, whether it's going to be quickly with a lot of initiatives, a lot of new programs, or whether it's going to be slowly and at their own pace. I think if you look at Barbara Lee, she's chosen to go the slower route with a listening tour. That could be challenging for residents because I don't know if residents really wanted a listening tour after a campaign. A lot of them might have thought the campaign is the listening tour. So now that she's coming out of this 60-day period, and she just had a newsletter that came out that said what they found on the listening tour were their key priorities, that Oaklanders were upset about the state of public safety, homelessness, and the cleanliness of our city. It probably didn't need a listening tour to find those priorities. She probably knew those intuitively already, but maybe the return on investment is she did some community engagement. She got out there, she shook some hands, and she looked some people in the eye and said, we're going to get to work. But if you contrast that to the way that Mayor Mahan or Mayor Lurie in San Francisco got out of the batter's box with repetition on social media, here I am at a ribbon cutting, here I am breaking ground on a new affordable housing building. Here I am signing legislation to do this. People got a sense that Mayor Lurie, Mayor Mahan got out of that batter's box quickly, and they're creating initiatives, and they're doing something every day. Where I think if, just from an analyst perspective, if you look at the way Mayor Lee approached her first 60 days, she's doing a listening tour to absorb information. And now it's on her to come back and say, this is what I'm going to do. The challenge and the vulnerability there is people don't know what you're going to do. So that could be a challenge for her ahead because Oaklanders will get itchy at some point if there's not a plan. If you're not building 100 new community cabins by the end of this month, if you're not establishing 200 new shelter beds, you've got to have a plan and lay it out what you're going to do.
Yeah, you talk about no news is good news, but I can tell you anecdotally that I hear almost all the time around where I live or when I'm going around, and people that maybe not even from Oakland, they do say to me, kind of with a sense of worry, like what, or wonder, or they're just wondering, where is Barbara Lee? I don't hear anything about her. So that's not good either. That's not just the Oakland perception, but the whole regional perception that like, did she just go out to lunch on the first hour of work,
Well, as an analyst, if I listen to at my barbecues and my events, and when people ask more questions about where is she or what is the state of things, there was a recent headline I think we shared with each other, Steve, in the East Bay Times, where it was something along the lines of other cities are cracking down on homelessness. Will Barbara Lee follow suit? And just from an analyst perspective, they're asking questions. They're not taking a stance like, Mayor Barbara Lee has said that she's going to crack down on homelessness. Is it the right move or wrong move? As a comms director, I didn't mind seeing headlines that were critical of our initiatives because they were talking about what we were doing and whether it was a good idea or a bad idea. Libby Schaaf opens up community cabins. Will they work? At least they're not saying, what is she doing? And so getting a what's going on headline is a bellwether. It's a sign of, people are getting a little anxious. They want to know what the plan is. But I think she's still in that grace period. She's still in that honeymoon period. And the vibe is still good in the room at those events.
Yeah. One last thing, because, one of the problems people identified is that Oakland government is broken and there's this push to amend the charter. Do you have any thoughts of that would that do anything, or is it just window dressing?
Well, of course I have thoughts. The first thought is I love Steve Falk. He's the former city administrator who worked in Oakland on a couple stints. I worked with Steve. I think everybody respects Steve Falk as a do-gooder, one of government's good guys who's always looking for solutions and looking to fix things. I think this idea he has of amending the charter so the mayor has a little bit less power, the city administrator has a little bit more, will make the system more efficient. That's a promising idea I can get behind and I may eventually support. Right now, where I'm at is I don't necessarily know that a charter amendment can fix Oakland. I think we need to do a better job of electing better elected officials like city council members and mayors. So for instance, what Steve knows and what every other city administrator knows, like Sabrina Landreth or Ed Riskin, we would elect city council members who sometimes flat out denied that we had budget problems. So our budget experts, like our head of budget, sorry, can you edit that out, Steve? Our budget experts would come back and say, this is how much money we have, this is how much money we can spend, and here's the deficit. And some city council members would look at them and say, no, that's not true. We could spend more money for this. And they would pass budgets that spent more than we knew we had down the road, whether it was in wage increases or we knew we weren't going to be able to pay those unfunded liabilities on pensions down the road. So by the time Mayor Tao got into office, along with her and her allies on the city council, we had elected officials who just did not believe the state of Oakland's budget. And they came up with wacky ideas like selling the Coliseum, one of our crown jewel assets that we should be making money off of, and said they put it up for sale and said this is going to plug the budget hole, which across the board everyone knew was a terrible idea. They moved that idea forward despite any system blockages. I don't think a charter amendment can stop that kind of stupid. I think only voters can stop that kind of stupid. And we're seeing that at the federal level as well. So when you have Trump and the Republicans pushing their elbows around, destroying our checks and balances, people start saying things like, oh, we should strengthen the judiciary. We should add judges to the Supreme Court. we should, make Puerto Rico a state so the Democrats get 2 more votes. Well, you can change the system all you want, but until you change the people you put in place in the government, it doesn't matter what system you have.
Well, thank you so much, Justin Burton of Burton Media, and also registering the first somewhat inaudible curse word in the history of East Bay Insiders TV.
Oh, all right. You got me all riled up, Steve. It's like 10:30 in the morning, and I'm just like fired up to talk about charter amendments.
Yeah, man. Me too. That's what I woke up fired up to do too, without both of us without coffee. But thank you so much, Justin Burton from Burton Media. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the East Bay Insiders newsletter at eastbayinsiders.substack.com. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, Steve.